Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are looking at the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verses 1 through 12. Now, we're doing the 12 days of Christmas, and we're looking at these texts in light of the incarnation. Now, this passage starts off by telling us that faith is the assurance. It is the certainty of what God has promised. It is the certainty of who God is, what God is going to do. And faith is not doubting. It's not wishing. That's what the world thinks it is, but the world doesn't understand faith. And he talks about in this passage about how he starts off that faith, by faith we understand the world. And we understand it was formed by God. What's funny is that the world doesn't understand that the universe is formed by God, yet it has no answer for how the world was really formed. We understand that God, by his simple command, by his word, created everything out of nothing. Because God can always make something out of a whole lot of nothing. That's what he does with us, right? Going on, he talks about how by faith, Enoch, who was an heir of righteousness, who walked rightly before the Lord, that he was raptured. Him and Elijah are the only two people in the Bible that were raptured without death up to heaven. And why? And then he goes into this. He says, he was commended as one who pleased God. Well, how do we please God? Only by faith can we please God. Not by any of our efforts, not by any of our knowledge, but by faith, trust in God. And faith, what is faith? It's about earnestly seeking God, and it's about believing that God, not only that he exists, but that he's true, that his word is true. And so he goes on in verse 7, he talks about Noah. And Noah trusted God more than what he saw around him. He built an ark, even though he didn't see a drop of rain. He had the assurance of faith to trust God. And because of that, he was an heir of righteousness. Now, to be an heir is to inherit, right? And so he inherited righteousness because of his faith in God. And righteousness is right relationship with the Lord. And he goes on from Noah to talk about Abraham. Now, Abraham, who's an old man, is called to follow God into a place that he promises him a land that Abraham is never going to possess. And yet he does that. Promises them to build him a place by which only God is the architect. And how often do we trust God to build a future for us that can only be built by God? And then part of that is that he's going to have a child, right? And him and Sarah are shriveled up, just waiting to die, right? As it says, Abraham is as good as dead. And the truth is, each and every one of us, we are as good as dead on our own, without the life of Jesus Christ. But through Christ, think about John chapter 1, in Christ was life, and this life was the light of the world. And so God raises up us who are dead, just like Abraham and Sarah. Well, thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.